All right, gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Badass Comeback Podcast. My name is Chris Ryan, and my mission is to give you the tools that will help you move on quickly after a bad breakup or divorce, and ultimately make you stronger, smarter, and more confident than you ever thought possible. A little more about me and what I do at the end of this episode, but for right now, I'm going to let you in on a quick and effective exercise to get rid of the heavy, empty, and dark emotions that come with being dumped. It should take you anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes, all depending on how you choose to play it. While this exercise works with anyone who earnestly implements it, this is going to be most helpful to you if you are right now deep in the shits of a breakup or any other negative life experience. But if you're doing relatively okay right now, I suggest learning this anyway and saving it as a tool just in case life throws you a knuckle curveball in the future. And trust me, you will be glad you learned it. And in case you're wondering, this is a solo exercise. No sharing with anyone else. I'm excited to share this with you guys, but before we dive in, I'm going to start by providing some context so you can understand not only how to apply it, but why it's so effective. All right, so most of us guys were taught but a few things about emotions when we were growing up. We learned that it's not manly to show too much emotion, that if we're sad, we just have to get over it, and people stop caring about your feelings once you hit like 12 years old, and then we're just expected to just deal with it. And so as a result, we tend to bury them or pretend they don't exist or just do nothing, mainly because we don't know what to do with these bad feelings. But we suffer through them anyway. We still go to work, we take care of our loved ones, and we just tell everyone, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine. And you know what? Telling other people I'm fine is okay. I mean, yeah, we've all heard that it's good to share how we feel with other people, and that's the best way to work through them. And I guess it can work for certain people in certain situations, but here's something I'll bet you've never heard. That does nothing to improve our self-reliability in regulating our emotions. Let that one sink in for a second. It does nothing to improve our self-reliability in regulating our emotions. It also does nothing to quell any sort of discomfort in uncomfortable situations. So here's the thing, when we're being weighed down by negative energy, it just gets in the fucking way. It messes with our concentration, our ability to make accurate decisions, and it may even cause some physical ailments, and I mean, it just sucks. It's kryptonite for the type of guy who wants to improve himself. And you know that type of guy, just look in the mirror the next time you pass by one. And since emotions and feelings are invisible, they don't come with like a user manual or anything. They're just kind of floating around inside of our spirits, and they're just weighing us down. And when this is the case, they are out of our control. They will stay around as long as they like, and just when you think you're over it, you pass by a place or see something that reminds you of someone you're trying to forget, and it all comes back, and now your day is absolutely ruined. And a big part of that frustration that comes with just generally feeling like shit is simply that we haven't done anything with those emotions. So they're just hanging out inside of us, just waiting for, quote, time to pass. But since we are badass, we don't have time for all that nonsense to pass. We are men, and the nature of man is to identify a problem, fix it, and move on, especially if addressing that problem makes us uncomfortable. The first few times I did this, it actually made me physically sick. But nowadays, I can fly through it in less than 5 seconds, and whatever I'm feeling starts to melt away if it doesn't just immediately disappear. Now, with that said, boys, I promise you, this will not turn you into a touchy-feely butterfly, and it will not turn you into a wuss who can't stand up for himself. If anything, this is only going to bolster your confidence, character, and self-respect. Here are 3 things you will also notice after a couple of weeks of diligent practice. It's going to improve your ability to process or push through negative emotions so you can get over it faster and continue on with your life. Number 2, if in the future you're confronted with a situation that spikes an emotion, It's going to help you stay grounded so you can make the best decisions in that moment. And this applies to any degree of negativity, all the way from a sudden breakup to getting chewed out by your boss, down to someone cutting you off in traffic. Third, and most importantly to the subject of this podcast, getting good at this exercise will reduce the chance of someone else's actions influencing the way you feel, and worse, influencing how you see yourself as a man. Like, for example, your romantic partner ending the relationship. And one more quick thing, you can download a free detailed version of this exercise, and I'll explain how to do that at the end, so stick around if you want access. Okay, enough jibber jabber, here we go. This is the Badass Heroes Calibration. Do this alone when you have at least 5 minutes of quiet downtime. Obviously, if you're working or driving, consider doing this at home, or otherwise just use caution. Please be smart. You can do this silently. It's better if you say it out loud, but I highly recommend writing it down on a piece of paper to start. And with diligent practice, you'll become able to do this on the fly in the span of just a few seconds. All right, so here we go. Step 1. Take a full, deep breath in and exhale. Relax. Step 2. Fill in the blanks. Right now, I am feeling blank because I blank. Again, that's right now, I am feeling blank because I blank. For the first blank, you have the following 8 emotions to pick from: happy, content, excited, passionate, sad, afraid, angry, and hurt. Once again, that's happy, content, excited, passionate, sad, afraid, angry, and hurt. For the second blank, list the reason, and it must start with I. This helps keep the focus of control on ourselves without blaming outside factors. After you have that sentence, take another deep breath and feel it. Here are some examples of phrases that are plugged into the calibration. Take the statement, I feel like shit because she broke up with me. This can become something like, right now I am feeling sad because I am no longer with the woman I still love. How about this one? I'm pissed because she cheated on me. This can become, right now I am feeling angry because I was just cheated on. And you must choose only one of the 8 for the first blank. So take your time choosing wisely, and yes, honestly. Even if you're feeling a little X, Y, or Z, use it in the sentence anyway. And write it just as it is. Don't use a little X, Y, or Z. Use the full thing. And if you're feeling more than one of the 8 emotions, which is entirely possible, just formulate an additional sentence with another word from the list. Let's go ahead and add on to the cheating example. We can say something like, I am also feeling hurt because I have been betrayed. And I'm also feeling sad because I don't feel like I'm enough for her. Spoiler alert, you are. Again, take your time with this. The more intention and belief you put into it, the better. All right, so how often do we do this? As a general rule, just to get some reps under your belt, calibrate at least once per day. And when you do it, it's entirely up to you. Set a reminder on your phone if you need. But remember, you're going to get the best results when you calibrate after a spike of negative emotion, or if you're currently having a hard time getting rid of lingering heavy emotions. And regardless, the more times you repeat this exercise, like any other skill out there, it will start to work faster. When I first started, I did this exercise 2 to 3 times per day for a couple of weeks, and then I was able to start doing them in my head. Then, a few months later, something incredible happened when I calibrated right after a really bad breakup. More about that one in a bit. Zooming out here, guys, everything we do has some emotion attached to it, no matter how small. Wake up early? Yeah, angry. First sip of coffee or tea? Happy. Fun trip coming up this weekend? Excited. Boss asks you to work late? Sad. And yeah, angry. Everything is all right and you're feeling relatively neutral? That's content. When these emotional spikes happen, that is when you calibrate, good or bad. And you can do both positive and negative sentences in one sitting too. It's possible to feel different things. Here's a quick example of that. Right now, I'm feeling sad because I may have to miss a boys' night out to work late. But right now, I'm also feeling happy because I could use some overtime money. Now, I know there are other ways of sort of doing this, and I'm guessing the most common method that we've heard about is the whole, now, how does that make you feel? That we hear from, movies or Dr. Phil. But that leaves the answer up to the person trying to identify what that feeling is. And they may say something like, I'm feeling stressed or pissed off or worried, but those are not emotions. It doesn't get to the root of the issue. This is how we can break that down in order to find the correct emotion from the list. If someone says, I'm feeling stressed, that probably has to do with an overwhelm of responsibilities. Overwhelming could mean afraid of not being able to complete the tasks in front of you. It could also mean angry because no matter how much you try to catch up, you can't get ahead. Someone says, I'm pissed off. That's a really easy one. Angry. But how about hurt? Yeah, I've been cheated on, and yeah, I was pissed the fuck off. In reality, I was both angry and hurt. What sets the Badass Heroes calibration apart from that generic question is that it trains your brain to search for the root of the emotion. Think of a square. Sad, angry, hurt, and afraid are the exact opposite corners of that square. And same with the positive ones. Happy, content, excited, and passionate, all opposite ends of their own square. And don't worry if you initially get stuck trying to find the emotion that matches. Narrow it down and you'll eventually discover what that root is. Just take your time. Now, fair warning, this may be overwhelming. You may get mad. You may cry. You may even breathe a sigh of relief and feel that weight finally lift off your shoulders. The point here is to take those emotions out of your body and convert them into words on a page. Again, it may take a few tries, but it is much faster than trying to bury or ignore them or, quote, just give it time. This is supposed to be challenging. And remember, the masculine heart grows through challenge. So, once you have your sentence or sentences down, watch them exist on that piece of paper. Repeat them a few times out loud, or just imagine looking at the words or hearing that sentence. Either way you decide to do it, for this moment, you have to connect with it. And reassure yourself that you are okay. You are okay. It's okay to feel sad, angry, afraid, or hurt. Such is life. We wouldn't know happy, excited, passionate, or content if we didn't know negativity. What we're doing here, boys, is being honest with ourselves, accepting it for what it is, allowing ourselves to feel it while simultaneously removing it from our body, mind, and spirit so it can exist outside of ourselves. Realize that watching these words and what you feel in your body making you uncomfortable is making you stronger, even if it doesn't really feel like anything is happening at all. It is properly disinfecting that wound. It's making you more aware. It's strengthening the bond between your mind, your body, and your soul. I want to read a quote from a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, who is basically a modern-day spiritual master. This is a guy who used to have crippling depression and anxiety until he discovered, the power of being in the present moment. This is what he says in regards to emotions. Quote, To watch an emotion in this way is basically the same as listening to or watching a thought. The only difference is that while a thought is in your head, an emotion has a strong physical component and so is primarily felt in the body. You can then allow the emotion to be there without being controlled by it. You no longer are the emotion, you are the watcher, the observing presence. And hey, boys, remember to do this when you're having good moments too. This exercise has a funny way of helping you get rid of the bad feelings but hang on to the good ones. And don't ask me how I know this, it's just how it works. And speaking of what I know, you're probably wondering where the hell I even got this idea and if it's actually worked on anyone else besides me. Well, this is a version of something I learned in anger management. Now, I'm guessing most of you don't have that sort of issue, but boy, oh boy, I sure did. And this wasn't one of those little seminar things where anyone can walk in and learn how to count to 10. This was a state-monitored 52-week correctional course. I just happened to be one of the only guys in that program who was self-referred. But this was the real fucking deal, and it was intense. When I was in that program, I watched the most stubborn, pissed off, rock-bottom guys you've ever seen make a complete turnaround and not only become able to control their impulses, but also become masters of their emotions. And it all started with the calibration, or rather, that program's version of it. Here's something that blew my mind when I was at week 12. One of the guys had completed the program, and during his final speech to the class, he talked about how his entire life turned around. He fixed his marriage. His kids were talking to him again, and he said he felt 20 years younger. And he looked it. He was happy, calm, confident, and his energy was pure and strong. His speech was inspirational, to say the least. And when I graduated myself, I thought about him on the way home. I realized that he had made the biggest turnaround out of any of us, and this includes about 400 men. Boys, this guy was in his late 60s. If this exercise works for guys who are completely fucked emotionally, I know it's going to work for you too. Another benefit of learning this shit is that you'll eventually be able to handle uncomfortable situations and do this exercise on the fly. Here's what that's going to look like. Something uncomfortable happens. You're hit with that bad feeling, you recognize that feeling, you calibrate, and the emotions start to fade if they don't go away completely. All in the span of a few seconds. And you will get there. You just have to apply it consistently. Okay, boys, I'm going to let you in on something I haven't told a lot of other people. I've used this exercise when I've been faced with physical threats of violence. And the result was, instead of making the situation worse or matching their shitty energy and flipping my lid, I calibrated in about 2 seconds. And by this point, I had so much calibration practice under my belt, I took a shortcut and thought, okay, right now I'm feeling angry and afraid. And from there, I felt the adrenaline start to melt away. I kept my wits about me and I was able to de-escalate. The moment those people started getting in my face, screaming and just coming completely unglued, I stood right where I was, maintained eye contact, and just talked to them as if they weren't even yelling in the first place. I was then able to either exit the situation, or in one instance, they actually calmed down, apologized, and we talked. Of course, I had to set some new boundaries with that person, but the feeling I got from staying ice cold during that interaction was priceless. And don't get me wrong, I was ready to throw down if I was attacked, and lucky for them, and for me, I guess, I prevented it from getting that far. And yes, I've had to calibrate right after I got dumped one time. It happened out of the blue, and even worse, it was over text. I tried calling her, no answer. I tried texting, nothing. It was a dumping ghost. I had no chance to ask why. I had no closure. I felt myself go into that dark pit of loneliness, sitting on the edge of my bed, crying. I didn't want to do anything else, but I didn't feel like crying anymore, especially because I felt that it was unfair for me to have to suffer because it wasn't my decision to end the relationship. And then I calibrated. I just formulated the sentences out loud to myself. It went like this. Okay, right now I'm feeling sad because I'm no longer with the woman I still love. I'm also feeling angry because I think that she doesn't see my worth as a man and as a boyfriend. I'm also feeling afraid because I don't want her to date anybody else. And I'm also feeling hurt because I just had my heart smashed with no explanation. I sat with my calibration boys. I repeated the words I chose. My stomach felt like it was inside out. I cried. I sobbed. It was painful. And then I felt this strange, cool, tingly sensation all around my body. It was really subtle, but it was really hard to describe. And it felt like I was being healed. I felt the pain slowly start to melt. And after a couple of minutes of this, I started to finally relax. I gathered my strength, took a few deep breaths, I wiped my face, and suddenly something caught my eye near my door. It was my running shoes. And I thought, well, I guess I have some more time on my hands now. Let's fucking go. I threw on my gym clothes, I laced up those shoes, I hopped in my car, hauled ass to the gym, blasting heavy metal. And don't get me wrong, I still had some residual feelings for a week or so, and there would be a couple of times at night where I had to recalibrate, but overall, I was already in a much better place, and most importantly, I was back on track with my life. My roommates actually commented at one point that weekend and said, damn, dude, you bounced back pretty quickly. Good stuff. Looking back, previous breakups left me on that bed for days. I would try to go to work, to go out, do normal things, but there was just so much weighing me down back then. This time, there was almost none of that. And so that's basically it, brothers. Implement the Badass Heroes calibration with consistency, diligence, and intent, and you will see results. The best part about creating this episode for me is that knowing that you will heal faster and get back to kicking ass very soon. Actually, I'm feeling excited because I know that you're going to rebuild yourself better than you ever thought possible, and I'm glad that you decided to click on this episode to get started with that. So give yourself some credit. Not everyone chooses this type of mindset. Wrapping up here, boys, a badass isn't some dude who never feels sad or never has a bad day. A badass is someone who is mastering life's most difficult boss. And that boss is not a particular skill, a certain level of money, a status or fame, or another person. That boss is the man in the mirror. But make no mistake, the better man you become, the more life is going to throw shit at you to try to keep you down. Jealous people are going to throw you shade. That business you start might go downhill at times. That relationship you thought was going great might just end out of the blue. But what separates the badass from the rest of the crowd is that he does not allow those things to make him feel less than. He does not allow elements beyond his control dictate what he is capable of, and he does not give a fuck what others think of him. He is the one who handles life's BS like a boss. He is the one others look up to for guidance and leadership. And most importantly, the only thing he needs to feel great in his own skin is himself. This is the art of the self-made man. You are staring at the opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more confident than ever. One step, one decision, 1% at a time. And it goes on forever. We are badass. We challenge ourselves. We persevere. And with hearts and minds forged and refined, we are stronger than steel. And you, my brother, are stronger than you think. Thank you for joining me in another badass episode, brother. If you want to accelerate through this time in your life and get a boost into your badass journey, sign up for a free 45-minute consultation for post-breakup or divorce coaching. All the info is in the episode description. Also, please remember to like, share your insights in the comments section, and if you know anyone who could use this in their journey to badassery, please share this episode with them. None of this would be possible without you guys, so thank you again, and I'll see you in the next episode.